In terms of central bank activity over the past couple of weeks, we've been a lot more focused on the US Federal Reserve and the ECB, the European Central Bank. But it's time to switch our attention back to the UK because tomorrow, that's Thursday, you might be watching this video later, tomorrow is Monetary Policy Day for the Bank of England. It's going to be released around midday. And you know what? It could actually be an interesting one. Inflation has been surging above their expectations. They obviously expected that inflation would overshoot the 2% target anyway, but it's overshot now for 3 months in a row. Despite this though, we're not expecting any big changes just yet for monetary policy, but it is starting to look like it could come sooner than previously expected. Now, new forecasts are also due tomorrow, and they may actually increase them to show the speed of the recovery in the short term, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that they'll update the medium-term outlook, because that might end up staying the same as the Delta variant still is a bit of a concern there. Some scientists, in fact, regarding the Delta variant, suggested that herd immunity for that variant could be higher than the previous ones, at 80 or even up to 90%. There's also, of course, the supply chain problems, which you may remember from the previous videos when we've discussed the Federal Reserve and the ECB. And in fact, there was a long video about inflation and all of that whole situation with interest rates and so on from a couple of weeks ago, but it's still very much relevant. You can find it if you click up here. And we actually covered the Bank of England in that. And remember, there was an important thing that there was this government committee who was scrutinising the actions of the Bank of England and suggesting that they need to sort of justify their position a bit more than they have been doing. Now, Andrew Bailey has been in a similar position to the Federal Reserve's Jerome Powell, Andrew Bailey being the head of the Bank of England. In relation to inflation, didn't mean to rhyme there, he's adamant that it's only transitory, so it's temporary, due to this rapid recovery in energy prices and other quirks created by the pandemic that we've discussed before. Although there are some hawkish members at the bank who think that it's becoming difficult to account for the strength of inflation. Ben Broadbent, who's the deputy governor, is one of those that thinks that higher wage growth could lead to more permanent inflation. Although government schemes such as the furlough is coming to an end, and that may also pose some risks. But we've heard in the past week Rishi Sunak praising the furlough scheme and how there are less people on it. And I think he's now calling for more forecasts to see whether there are going to be long-lasting effects of the pandemic on the UK economy. Now, policymakers are a bit split over when to taper, but at the moment it seems that the majority still favour holding off to avoid disrupting the recovery that we're seeing. So for now it seems that the economy is safe from tapering for the time being, but the bank is likely to be laying the groundwork and preparing for it. So we may start to hear a bit of a shift in the tone and the sentiment from the Bank of England, as we're starting to see from some members at other central banks. Now, in terms of the markets that we're looking at, the one that I've chosen to talk you through here is Euro GBP. This is the weekly chart we see here. This is the same as we've been looking at a few times recently. We had a lot of consolidation movement heading towards this B point of this confirmed Fibonacci range, which saw that swing low there. Now, we closed as a type 1 last week, so we kind of failed at it already, but we could have had setup completion already. We're back at that level again now. Let's have a look at the daily chart. So it's taking a little while to update there. In terms of the daily chart, if we're going to still head down, continuing this structure of these minor waves that we're seeing, this consolidation type movement, we may find ourselves in a position where we have a double confirmation on that swing low and that trend line there. And that could be as a result of tomorrow's announcement from the Bank of England being some sort of a catalyst for activity, or it could be that we managed to get an entry before that. If we drop down to the 4 hour, this is where I think is particularly interesting. You can see we've got this reversal zone at the bottom that's been respected. Already today we've had a lot of volatility around there. No opportunities around there just yet today, but there were opportunities earlier in the week. If we hold up there, that could be a place where we look for entries. If we manage to break through, we have this trend line along the bottom, which would then start to coincide with that daily situation there. So this is a market to keep an eye out for the next couple of days. There are other UK-related markets that are interesting. The FTSE, GBPUSD is also a good one, and a number of others. I think GBP Yen has been looking good today as well. Some of our members picked up trades there as we went through on the live stream. We did a 4-hour live stream earlier. So if you remember, check that out in the community. If you're not, then let me know in the comment section what markets you're following. Hit that thumbs up button if you find these useful or interesting. Don't forget to subscribe and switch on those notifications so you don't miss the future videos. And if you want to know more about how I trade, I'm thinking, what are the things that we say at the end? If you want to know more about how I trade, there's a link to our free training in the description. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next one. Take care.